How are you? I hope you're doing well. Today, I want us to study about the 5 prevention steps which are outlined in the 5 stages. You can get these notes from Giesler 2018 on fire and life safety for an educator. Now, 5 prevention steps are categorized into 5, and these steps we start with step number 1, which is conduct a community risk assessment. This mainly deals with you are influencing or you are helping the people around you to know more about this hazard. Step number 2, you develop community partnerships. Now, in this step, you collaborate with the people around you. Step number 3, create an intervention strategy. Now, this is a mechanism that you put in place in order to prevent these fires. You can advocate for you can advocate for you tell the community that it is essential uh, to keep off if someone does not know how to use, let's say, a gas, for example, a cooking gas, for example. People should keep off because maybe these are causes or these are factors that are making or leading to a surge in number of fires in your community. Number 4, you implement the strategy. These strategies, you make sure that they are put into working. Number 5, you evaluate the outcomes or the results. Now, how fires risk are assessed in my community, for example. Let me take the place that I come from. We normally identify the threats, which entails activities of identifying all the probable risks in the community. You ask questions, you fill out questionnaires or worksheets of the people around you, and you check the data of manufacturers. Number 2, you determination of the people who may be affected and how they will be harmed. This mainly entails that the risk which people shall suffer. The houses shall burn, they shall lose their property, others shall be displaced. Number 3, you identification of hazards and preventive measures. Now, this mainly involves this is the final assessment of the magnitude of risk and activating regulatory standards. Now, you know how extreme this risk can be. Yeah. Now, it is essential for you now to put in place the preventive measures. Number 4, you record your findings. You ensure that all identified perils in the community are wholly and carefully recorded. Number 5, you are reviewing and updating new precautionary measures. Changes in the community mean new unforeseen perils, and new risk assessment should be conducted regularly or frequently, maybe after a month or two, or even after 6 months. Now, the third part is determining the neighborhood with the highest fire risk in your community. For example, I would use data from emergency response communities, data based on frequency and occurrences of inferno accidents from my local fire department. The data will assist me in identifying the neighborhood with the highest fire risk in my community. That means I'm able, by evaluating this data, I'm able to know how to respond to various emergencies. Step number 2, I would also use GIS or other specialized global software mapping tools to plot areas with the highest inferno risks in my community. You see, the third step is that I will also examine data from neighborhoods with recent house infernos from my local department and from my local non-government organization that helps prevent fires. Yeah, like in our area, we have Ujamaa Trust. You see, these are the people who These are non-governmental organizations that help us in case of fires. We are able to fight these fires, and we are able to help those that are affected. The fourth, I would examine demographical data, since states with higher population also tend to have high risks associated with infernos. Number five, I would examine data from smokers, since smoking is the chief source of house and forest fires. Yes, you get that at times those people who tend to smoke, and you get that the houses are made of wood. You get of wood. Now, when a person drops the cigarette down, it touches the paper. The paper catches fire. At the end of it all, what happens? The house burns. Number six, I would examine data based on children below 5 years, since they are dependent on adults to detect fires and assist them. You know, children of nowadays, they are kinda more detective. They know, yeah, they have that intellectuality, because their parents are more attached somewhere else, are busy, something of that sort. Now the kids, since they are not that busy, they can assist their parents to know when such incidents occur. The last one, I would examine the type of dwelling place. Buildings with no fire safety and fire fighting equipment tend to be more prone to catching infernos. Higher steps in conducting community partnerships. Now, these are the measures which you will take as you want, since you want to collaborate with your community. Now, step number one will be connecting with community leaders. Ensure that the community leaders have the same mindset and understand the importance of fire prevention, commit and follow the guidelines on fire protection for the community and leaders' success. Number two, you will define and prioritize fire prevention goals. Ensure that the community leaders and community are on the same page, that they have agreed that their main objective is now to fight this fire, in order now to eradicate and help minimize the losses. The third step will be building new partnerships and strengthening long-lasting relationships with the community. This is done by attending frequent meetings and integrating community members in fire prevention, assessment, and evacuation drills. Now, by during these building new relationships, you can attend weddings. You tell people of how they can take this role as a community to help prevent fires. In funerals, you can speak to people. After church service, you can speak to people. This is what we mean by saying you build new partnerships. Lastly, you ensuring that fire prevention assessment and evacuation drills and protocols are seamless. This means that you involve the community in planning, because these are the people who will be affected. Now you must involve them in planning fire assessment meetings. You identify, you evaluate of fire perils examinations of fire hazard, as well as mitigation plans when fires occur, as well as fire prevention measures. Okay, you ensure that safety officers are deployed. This ensures that the responsibility is directly increased and the compliance rate with fire prevention measures is deployed in every community. Now, how I would implement my fire prevention strategy. One, I will coordinate with the fire safety programs across my community. Number two, I would provide fire safety advice virtually through mobile phones. Since nowadays there are mobile apps that help us to meet virtually. We have Zoom, we have got Microsoft Teams. So it is easier for me to converge a meeting and tell people the essence of these fire prevention strategies. Number three, I would send fire educational packages to members of my community. Number four, I will monitor and adopt reviews from IFAP and send to relevant reports to stakeholders. Number 5, I would ensure that all fire hazards are taken care of to prevent fire occurrences. Fifth, I would ensure buildings are fire resistant and non-combustive so that it reduces these rates. This is very essential. Finally, I would also ensure that buildings and equipment are regularly inspected to avoid the likelihood of catching these fires. Now, benefits of evaluating the risk of my intervention strategies. Well, we have got prevention of unintended injuries and deaths to adults and children. Also, we have the prevention of unintended loss of property. By implementing these strategies, there will be no deaths, no loss of property. We will also have reduced fire. Also, forest fires will be reduced also. Also, the safety behavior has ensured that livelihoods are improved as fire prevention and intervention plans. Okay, policies have been implemented in building codes to protect lives, buildings, and properties in facilities, and also fire prevention strategies have helped in the development of new advanced firefighting equipment. Now, our conclusion is this as we conclude our topic. Fire hazards should be fully identified and mitigated to prevent infernos causing deaths and loss of property and equipment. Fire awareness programs and policies should be made readily available and aware to everybody in the community. Fire strategic measures should be adopted to prevent the likelihood of fires occurring. Buildings should be constructed to be fireproof and the building code should be followed thoroughly. Fire safety equipment and tools should be readily available everywhere to avoid severe destruction if fires occur. Now, this is the hazard assessment and inferno safety. This is this kit. You can follow it properly. And that marks the end of our lesson today. Yes.